Good afternoon. Distinguished panelists, very special young woman, Doris. Distinguished audience, it's my pleasure to deliver this afternoon a message from my president, President Paul Kagame, who could not be here this afternoon and also very happily participate in the exchange that he's going to be taking on. I want to begin by saying that this conversation is an important conversation to have in the context of these development days, because we believe that development without the participation of women on our continent would be very, very difficult to achieve. So it is a pleasure to be here this afternoon. Let me first thank the European Union and other partners for your ongoing support, which has contributed in various ways to Rwanda's development. This meeting and the European Development Days generally provide an opportunity for us to evaluate our partnership, determine what has worked and should therefore be reinforced, but also what could be improved. May I also thank Doris Ofori for her courage in sharing with us her personal story. She epitomizes the spirit not only of many other girls in developing countries across the world, but also of the millions of Africans who face their daily challenges with the determination to strive for a better life. It is therefore for Doris and her peers that we cannot relent in our efforts to realize meaningful and sustainable equality between girls and boys, women and men. So thank you very much, Doris. Ladies and gentlemen, few people would now question the importance of gender equality and women's empowerment, partly because in recent decades, gender equality has proved to be a powerful means of driving social, political, and economic development. Indeed, the numbers speak for themselves. There are now more girls at school, more women in the labor market and earning an income, more women receiving quality health care and working in decision-making positions. Those gains need to be consolidated and broadened, which will require concerted efforts by governments, development partners, and civil society. But numbers alone do not tell the whole story. I will be sharing some examples from my country, Rwanda. We have worked hard to promote and effect gender equality, but we recognize that until all gender-related inequalities are eradicated, there is still a lot more to do. So we have come a very long way. We believe on the right path, but we have some distance to travel. This evening, however, let me propose the next frontier in advancing gender equality and realizing sustainable development, namely promoting women's economic empowerment, which fits with the general theme of these European Development Days. The Rwandan government has initiated programs that are not only intended to address economic inequalities between men and women, but actually seek to increase their collective economic empowerment. For example, we have a Women Guarantee Fund, and we have increased credit access for women through local community cooperatives and microfinance schemes so that they can start their own businesses. This is how women have managed to invest in various highly lucrative businesses, such as export of fresh fruit to Europe, hotel management, and higher education institutions. Another example of women's economic empowerment is the intensive labor program known in Rwanda as HIMO, from the French acronym, which does not only bring in salaries but also provides an opportunity for training and family planning, economic saving, and management of household income. We also have the Girinka program, where most vulnerable households, many of them headed by women, receive a cow. This program has resulted in increased nutritional intake, raised family incomes, and higher farm productivity through the use of manure that also served to provide fuel for lighting and cooking. It has also been an entry point into the management of other resources and has changed cultural attitudes about ownership of property, especially ownership of cows by women, which was not the tradition. Overall, it has increased the economic power of women and raised their status. Within all this, there is a crucial role of women's civil society organizations. The proactive action by organizations such as the Genocide Widows Group increased the participation of women in the reconciliation and post-genocide reconstruction process in Rwanda, and as a healing force for the country, a contribution that has proved to be invaluable. Gender proved to be a unifying factor rather than a divisive one, and key to our nation building. Ladies and gentlemen, our commitment to gender equality and women's empowerment is based on three interrelated fundamental beliefs that make empowerment of all our citizens integral to our national development. First, restoring women's rights and dignity and offering them opportunities for them to fulfill their potential, and for any citizen is not a matter of being politically correct. It is a basic understanding of our nation in terms of human rights. Secondly, gender equality is a fundamental pillar for sustainable development. Given that 16 years ago, Rwanda registered low base levels on every socio-economic indicator, we needed to have the entire population actively involved, not half of it. As somebody said at a conference in Rwanda recently, investing in women is simply smart economics. Third, advancing the cause of women strengthens democratic processes and accountability. There is nothing more democratic than empowering this large and important segment of our society. Women not only benefit from this process of democratization, but drive it and drive development in turn. We firmly believe that the dichotomy between development and democracy is false. They are, in fact, mutually reinforcing. The right to vote or express our views freely without the right to an education or equal employment opportunities would be meaningless. And women are a powerful driving force of both our goals of development and good governance. It is now well known that in Rwanda, women make up more than 56% of parliament and more than 30% in cabinet and the Supreme Court. But we do know that results matter much more than these impressive numbers. The inclusion of more women in decision-making positions is a democratic approach and very empowering in itself. But it also drives the development of the country as they play a crucial advocacy role, act as inclusionary role models to society, and as an inspiration to other previously marginalized groups who see that they too have a stake in the country's future. Distinguished audience, the focus on women's economic empowerment has wider relevance to the present development debate, including aid and other important issues related to governance in broad terms. Let me reiterate that aid should be a temporary and transitional remedy to our development challenges. It should come to complement our own initiatives and be in tune with our development strategies and objectives. Women's economic empowerment is one such objective, as it will help us develop women's entrepreneurship, build a thriving private sector, and realize inclusive economic growth and therefore sustainable development. Experience in Rwanda has shown us that where there is both good political and economic governance, and where these are coupled with domestic and mutual accountability, we can achieve a lot. It is our view that for gender equality to be achieved, it should be properly contextualized within national priorities, sufficiently financed, and fully owned by the citizens, a very important factor, like any other development process. The need to invest in human development, especially the traditionally marginalized groups, will enhance our economic growth as we move forward and progressively help our countries to become self-sufficient. This thinking is important for mutually beneficial collaboration between countries seeking to eradicate poverty and development partners that wish to support such efforts. Increasingly, we will need to see innovative partnerships with the private sector and corporate world to address remaining challenges in a new and bold way. And I think the panelists here this afternoon represent just that. Here, I will have to express appreciation for the work that the Nike Foundation and DFID are doing with the Rwandan government to empower girls through improved health services as part of the Girl Hub project. In conclusion, let me restate that empowering women economically will take our efforts to ensure equality to the next level. These efforts should be viewed in a wider context of human rights, social and economic development, but also as an integrated part of a deliberate democratic process. Women, equality, and empowerment in Rwanda was and remains a deliberate policy. Gender equality has had an undeniable multiplier effect on the social and economic development across the globe. This has been our experience, and now is the time to build on these gains to transform the lives of our girls and boys, women and men. We look forward to partnering with fellow governments, like-minded institutions, and organizations on this remarkable journey, and I thank you for your attention.